Welcome to the AI for Career Success podcast by Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. This is episode 143. I'm Fred, and I'm joined by Daphne.
Hello, everyone. Great to be here.
We've got our producer, Curt Robbins, to thank for this one. He suggested this topic.
Today, we are taking a critical look at the whole economic structure of the AI boom.
Specifically focusing on the person right at the center of it all, Sam Altman and OpenAI.
And our guide for this is an analysis from the YouTube channel More Perfect Union. Their video is called What Sam Altman Doesn't Want You to Know.
Right, and this isn't just about the tech itself. It's about the deal being offered to all of us, to the whole economy we're building our careers on.
Okay, so let's just lay out the promise. The claims from Altman and others in the industry they're huge.
Huge is an understatement. They're basically saying AI will solve every major global problem.
Everything. The housing crisis, poverty, even curing cancer.
Climate change, mental health, the list goes on. The idea is that things like healthcare and energy will become almost free.
And that's the dream they're selling. But here's the deal they're offering in return.
The fine print.
Exactly. To get this amazing future, we as a society have to put all of our resources, our data, our economy, our water, our infrastructure,
into one single basket.
And that basket is essentially his.
So the question for you, for anyone trying to adapt their career to this, is pretty simple. Do you trust this promise?
And, maybe more importantly, what's the cost if these promises aren't met? We are betting our careers on this stuff.
Let's start with the money. The sheer scale of this is hard to wrap your head around.
It is. OpenAI has committed to spending over $1 trillion on AI infrastructure.
$1 trillion over the next 8 years.
Now, compare that number to what they actually make right now.
Which is?
Their recurring revenue is only about $13 billion a year.
$13 billion. That's what, less than 1% of the $1 trillion they've promised to spend?
Right. So almost all of that money has to come from somewhere else. Aggressive funding, debt, very creative deals.
And this bet is so big, the source points out that most of the projected economic growth for the U.S. in 2025, it was almost all because of investment in AI infrastructure.
The whole market is riding on this one thing.
Which means we really, really need to look at the track record of the person making these trillion-dollar promises.
And what the source material shows is that Sam Altman is, first and foremost, a deal maker, an investor. And his career is sort of a pattern of asking for blind faith.
Okay, let's go back. His first company was called Loopt. It was a friend locator app.
And for something like that to work, you need, everyone to be on it. You need ubiquity.
Millions of users.
Right. But Loopt never said how many users they had. Altman just kept insisting they had way more than anyone else.
Trust me.
Trust me.
Yeah.
The reality, according to Reuters, was that near the end, they had maybe 500 active users?
500, not millions.
And when confronted, Altman said that number was off by 100 times and that he'd provide evidence.
Which he never did.
Never did. And the exit was even stranger. Loopt sold to a company called Green Dot.
And what did Green Dot do with it?
Shut it down immediately, never even used the tech.
So what was the point?
Well, Green Dot investors later claimed it was a dirty deal just to enrich the venture capital firm Sequoia, which had invested in Loopt.
And Altman walked away with millions for a failed product.
That pattern just keeps going. Peter Thiel gives him millions to start his own VC firm, Hydrazine Capital, right as he becomes president of Y Combinator.
YC, the biggest startup incubator in the world. That's a huge conflict of interest right there.
A massive one. He publicly promised he would not invest his firm's money in YC companies.
But he did, didn't he?
The New Yorker found that up to 75% of his fund was invested in YC companies. He was using his insider position to profit directly.
So after all that, with this history, what's the next move? You wrap your next big project in altruism.
Exactly. Enter OpenAI in 2015, launched as a nonprofit.
With a charter promising a fiduciary duty to humanity and to avoid concentrating power.
And the proof for this noble mission, once again, it was just, trust me, bro.
That nonprofit structure didn't last long?
Nope. By 2019, they started a for-profit branch, which this year was spun out entirely, pretty much stripping away all those original legal duties to humanity.
And the money behind that $1 trillion promise, it's all based on these circular deals.
Yes, this is so important to understand. The money barely moves.
Let's take Microsoft. They invested $13 billion.
Great. And where does that $13 billion go? OpenAI turns around and spends it on Microsoft's cloud services.
So it's not an investment. It's Microsoft guaranteeing revenue for itself.
It's a financial pass-through. And it's the same everywhere. NVIDIA promises $100 billion.
which OpenAI will use to buy NVIDIA chips.
AMD, Oracle, and now there's news about Amazon for $10 billion. It's a perpetual motion machine for big tech's balance sheets.
But here's the scary part. The backstop.
The source points this out, and it's chilling. OpenAI's own CFO has implied that if this whole thing goes south,
The government is on the hook.
the government, through subsidies or a backstop or a guarantee, the taxpayer is the final insurer of this whole bet.
Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Curt Robbins.
Hi, this is Curt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
Welcome back to the AI for Career Success podcast.
Okay, before the break, we covered the money and the history of just trust me. Now, what about the actual resources OpenAI needs to pull this off?
The first one is data. You need unbelievable amounts of data to train these models.
And this brings us to Reddit.
Right. Altman was a former board member and a huge shareholder at Reddit. And he cut a deal for OpenAI to, quote, aggressively scrape everything posted on the site.
It's interesting to contrast that with Aaron Swartz, one of Reddit's co-founders.
Yes, Swartz was criminally charged for downloading academic articles because he believed knowledge should be free for everyone.
Altman used his insider position to take that same communal knowledge for his own private product.
And let's not forget, he had promised back in 2014 to give 10% of Reddit's value back to the community.
Did that ever happen?
Nope. Regulatory issues, apparently. The pattern continues.
Okay, next resource, energy.
Mm.
The power demand here is astronomical.
The source really stresses this. OpenAI's goal is to build 250 gigawatts of capacity by 2033.
To put that in perspective, that's roughly the amount of electricity needed to power the entire country of India.
All 1.5 billion people. This is on a scale we've never seen before.
And to get that kind of power, you need radical energy solutions, which, of course, Altman is heavily invested in.
Of course. He and Thiel have big stakes in nuclear power. Altman is a key investor in a fusion power company called Helion.
Now, fusion powers have been 30 years away for like 50 years. A lot of scientists are very skeptical this will work on that timeline.
And he's also invested in Oklo, which makes tiny, truck-sized nuclear reactors.
But the catch is that right now, to meet its promises, Oklo is just using natural gas.
The revolutionary future is being powered by fossil fuels today.
And this is where the whole structure gets really, well, perfectly hedged.
Yes. The source points out he's invested in 3 areas that directly profit from the problems AI creates.
Okay, what are they?
1. Identity verification. Companies that protect you from the deepfakes and scams his technology enables.
2, insurance. Companies that will insure you against the losses from those same AI scams and hacks.
And 3, the companies that mine the metals and make the equipment for the infrastructure itself.
So if AI succeeds, he wins. And if AI causes chaos, scams, and disruption.
He also wins by selling you the solutions to the problems he helped create.
Which finally brings us to the solution for all this coming disruption and job loss. WorldCoin.
WorldCoin. Funded by Altman and others, it's sold as a way to distribute universal basic income when AI takes all the jobs. It's also a global ID system.
And how do you get in?
This is the classic Altman deal. You have to scan your irises into one of their orbs.
You give them your biometric identity. You give them your physical identity, and in return, they give you some crypto and the promise of UBI.
It's the ultimate, I'll fix everything if you just sign over everything deal. Just trust me, bro, on a global biometric scale.
So let's bring this all back to you, the professional trying to navigate this.
What does this all mean?
The summary is pretty stark, isn't it? On one hand, you have these incredible promises. Cures for diseases, endless wealth, a UBI safety net.
But on the other, the financial structure is. It's a house of cards built on circular investments and a potential taxpayer bailout.
And the price of admission for society is everything. Our data, our identity, our resources.
So given this whole pattern, the broken promises, the conflicts of interest, the fact that he profits from the problems AI creates, you have to ask yourself a final question.
If this entire AI economy is built on a $1 trillion bet that might need a government rescue,
Is planning your career around this tech just planning for a future in a state-subsidized industry. That's the real calculation you need to make right now. Thank you for listening to the AI for Career Success podcast from Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition.
Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you next time.